What is happening, guys? It is day 0. We have 0 days left, and we're going to be showing you our final drafts. Rich, are you excited?
A little bit. I feel like you've clickbaited this a bit with final draft. I'm 99% settled, but we will see. We will see.
Really? I thought you seemed very like, this is it. This is the
I've been
team.
like that several times. I was like that last night and this morning.
Right, okay.
I'm like 90, I don't know, 85% locked, Dave. What about you?
Yeah, I've been 100% locked for 3 weeks. It's just been different teams throughout those 3 weeks. So I'm right there with you. It's been like, right now it's 100% locked. Okay, this changes now is 100% locked. And it has perpetuated and got more risky and more risky until like the final check. And I'm like, no, I've got like 6 different problems with my team. So I've
Yeah,
totally scaled it back.
I haven't actually seen your current one, so I'm looking forward to that.
No, I didn't show you yet. I haven't showed anyone, I don't think. Thank you very much if you're in the chat just now. We are live and we are scared. I'm scared. This is gonna be probably the least happy I have been with a game week 1 team in a while. Like last year, I was locked. 2 years ago, I didn't know what I was doing really. So I was like locked and happy about it. And I had like Schlapp in my team. And then this season, like I'm not, I am definitely not happy with it. But you know what can you do?
Do you think it's minor little things, isn't it? Like it's the fringes of my team that I'm a bit worried about the structure. But
Yeah,
at the end of the day, it might not make that much difference. Like
it probably won't.
yeah, it could just be a point or two in it, and it'll be okay. Like it will be okay.
Yeah.
Probably.
All right. Before we,
And I'm saying this after
you...
last season, so
Oh no, I
there's a
know.
lot of pressure on me.
I
I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself.
Hey, people think there's a curse. Like, I bet this people are
Yeah, there
expecting
is.
me to fail. You can join our mini league for U2742. There's hundreds of people in there. It's gonna be great. I'm sure we're doing prizes or something. I'm sure they do prizes.
There are prizes. Iceman's in the chat. He sorts all that kind of stuff out. So I'm sure he'll send you like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to do a Rolex or anything. I probably shouldn't.
Yes, there's a Rolex. If you want to join, it was on the screen. Just rewind for a little bit, and yeah, you could win a Rolex. And if you haven't already, subscribe. It'd be great. It'd be awesome. Right? Shall we do the teams?
Let's do it. Who are we starting with?
We're gonna start with the team that you sent me before you sent me the one that is now your current one, right?
Just the first one that I locked in.
Yeah, this was the first one that you locked in, right? And it's just a normal team. You have decided to go with Mahrez instead of a third striker, and it allows you, or it means that you have to kind of sacrifice elsewhere. So you've not got a third big defender, and you've went with Benrahma instead of like a 6.5, right? Like classic.
I mean, I'm disappointed I didn't crop this one properly, but yeah, this was the one. It's actually got a million in the bank as well. So this was when I was thinking I got a bit obsessed with Lewis Dunk.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at his stats. I was like, I want to get Dunk in, but obviously because we've now got Tsimikas and that template back three of Trent, Shaw, and Tsimikas. The only way to do it was this way really, but it also meant I could move Mahrez up to Son.
Right. Okay, I gotcha.
I was very happy with this morning, and the only dilemma I had is should I just go straight to Son to begin with? Then I started thinking, well, I haven't got Tony. Do I like Ings that much? And there was all these little doubts in my mind. So I ended up tweaking it to something a bit more aggressive.
So everyone who was just listening there, it sounds like he's gone, oh, you know what? I've not got Tony. There's a little bit of issues. I'm feeling like... So it sounds like he's going from risky-ish to then thinking a bit more safer thoughts, right? That's not the case.
I mean, I think
the state of the team that you sent me this morning for this stream, right?
This is my actual team.
This is the team. Hold on, I'm gonna zoom out.
There's no money in the bank with this one.
Right, go.
I had to lose the Lewis Dunk obsession. Webster will suffice.
Oh my goodness! Right, here it is in all its glory. So go through your final draft for us, Rich.
Yeah, so I decided. Basically, I think Tony is better value than Ings. And there's not really... I think I went for Ings because I thought I could move to Bamford. I think that was something you put in my head when we were recording the pod on Monday.
Oh, yeah?
I've gone off that idea a bit. I don't really like Ings that much. Because after we know how Villa are going to be playing, their fixtures turn really bad. He's really expensive. So if I do want to downgrade him to someone cheaper, I'm going to have to do 2 transfers. And I really like Man City still. And I thought, is there actually Emma's? We talked about Emma's, Man City prediction stuff, didn't we, on the pod? And she's got, the forums have got Gundogan as 100% and Mahrez as 100%. Now she has said it doesn't mean they're definitely going to start, but this is a great opportunity for me to have two City attackers
against Spurs.
I can get Tony back in. I'm not relying on Lewis Dunk as much as I became obsessed with him. Webster will be fine.
Yeah,
and the bench can cover stuff as well.
I mean, I do like your bench. There's a lot of love in the chat for your team, by the way.
For which one? The first one or the second one?
The second one. I didn't expect anyone to like it, but you have at least two people that like it.
I think it's quite template. I mean, like some people might have similar, but they might have Gundogan. I'm sorry, they might have like Greenwood instead of Gundogan. I mean, Greenwood's obviously a good pick, but I'm not a huge fan. I always seem to get a little bit obsessed with City, and we've got these guys that could be nailed. So why not do it? Why not do it? And I wasn't that convinced on Son in the end. Like, I was thinking, like, it's a nice price point. Obviously, he can be good because he'd be on penalties without Kane.
Yeah.
I mean, Spurs aren't like a top team, and it's 10 million. Plus, we have transfers. So with this, I don't think I'll have to touch the defenders for a while. So I could just move around, that I can move around them all, basically, apart from Salah.
Yeah.
They're all quite interchangeable.
I mean, I don't think this team is bad. I just think that there's a lot of like.
You did think it was bad, and then the chat said
no. I don't. It's not. Yeah. It's just for me. It's like you have decided to go even riskier because you have but there's four things that are risky with the starting 11, right? So Tsimikas, regardless of how much we want to say that he's nailed, like we're still not 100% sure that Milner's not going to play there. There has been a lot of chat, and you've heard it, and everyone's been like, but he'll play centre mid. But we don't actually know, right? So that's one. You have to say it's one. 4.0, very short term.
Before you get on to the next point, with that, I mean, there's been a lot of rumblings that he will start.
No, of course, I've got him in my team, but I just mean he is still at risk.
Yeah, right? And also, a lot of people are worried because he blocked that third Liverpool slot.
Yeah.
And this sounds weird being tripled up on Liverpool, but Liverpool, there is a chance they're not that good, and we don't want to triple up on them. So maybe
but that's a fallacy argument, because if you can make the same argument for the other side, then it's a bad argument, right? Because there's a chance that they're actually great.
People are only making it from the one side.
Oh, that's true. So you want to just be different and still get three.
There's a chance we don't want three.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So there's at least some amount of risk with him, whereas that doesn't exist with Trent, right? So that's the easiest way to put it. Second thing is Benrahma is still new, right? Like he didn't really play that much. He's only had a good preseason. No one was really thinking about him last season very much. I mean, I know you kind of had like a West Ham thing going on towards the end of the season with random players, everyone but Lingard.
I had Lingard and Benrahma.
Did you have both of them? Okay, cool, fair play. So it was only you really, right, that seen it from last season. But he's still like a little bit of a risk because he's a punt, and that's all. I mean, Rafinha is not a punt because so many people own him. So Benrahma's 3% owned or something, 6 maybe now. That there's a little bit of a train for him.
He's creeping up, but. Yeah, no, I get your point there. And Rafinha, he will be someone I want to look at down the line. But
of course.
That's where the City boys can allow that.
Yeah. So then we move on. Not only have you got one City, which is always risky, but two. So that's two shots in the dark. We know that they'll probably start game week 1. Gundogan's probably good to start a couple of games because there's injuries, and so is Mahrez. But you never really know, right? That's the thing. So you never really know with your City players. That's 2. You never really know with Tsimikas because he hasn't started in the Premier League before or whatever, right? Like he's an unknown asset. And then Benrahma's a punt. So you have a punt, you have 3 unknowns. And then that obviously comes with the risk of the people that you've omitted from your team that are highly owned. So it's a bit risky, but the good thing about your team is that because of all this, you've had to give us 2 very sturdy bench players that can come in, right? So that's where
the
you've
thing.
Kind of
I'm quite happy that if I need one to come in. I mean, Arsenal's fixtures aren't that great after this week for 2 weeks anyway. But Brighton's are pretty consistent. That's why I wanted Dunk as my 11th man who would play every week. But I just thought having Gundogan, I'd much rather have Gundogan than Dunk ongoing. I mean, what ambitions do you think I've got? Because I was thinking about, I don't want to put myself at too much risk after what happened last season. And obviously I haven't got Ings now. But then if I didn't go with Ings, I wouldn't have Tony. So I'd rather just spend less money there.
Well, yeah, but it's not Tony versus Ings really. It's Mahrez versus Ings, right? That's the price point. So
Yes,
you're missing
yes.
Ings
I
because of
mean, Mahrez has
Mahrez.
always been in my draft. It was just a case of if I upgraded inverted commas to Son.
Yeah.
I was always going to have Mahrez.
So if you're in the chat, let us know out of 5 what you think his actual team is. 4 out of 5 is considered, pretty decent, not the best. 5, obviously, the absolute top. But like 3, I would say that I would call this a 3. And even though that might sound okay at 3 out of 5, I think that with an unlimited transfer situation that we've got before Game Week 1, 3 is not good enough.
I've learned a little bit from last season, but there's obviously the double city. You're right to highlight it. That probably is something I've not fully learned from last season. But
Yeah.
if I'm going to do it, now's the time.
Of course.
I'm not going to end up bringing City players in at, game week 3 or 4.
It's interesting how much Simicast has opened up the opportunities because we have this gift, right? It's so weird because a lot of people had like Robertson and just giving them a downgrade and like here's an extra 2.5 million or whatever it is, 3 million. It really changes the team templates that I've been seeing. So I really like that everyone's kind of up in arms because something happened with the last week for tinkering.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
I also wanted to touch on, so Tommy in the chat, he's highlighted something quite good. He said Eileen Webster would rotate better.
Mm-hmm.
And actually the rotation is something because I've been working this morning and I'm going to be working straight after this. But I do want to look at the rotation a little bit more because I've been doing it on my phone. And obviously I want to get the ticker up and get the rotation right because this is quite a new draft to me. But there's so many 4.5s.
I think it's game week 3 that you need to worry about, and that's where Ayling looks good because...
And Webster against Veltman as well was something Tommy raised. And, I mean, I was looking at the stats, and Webster's do look better. We might have Veltman playing at centre-back, but that's, again, something I need to look at. So if I go for this team, funnily enough, the only real research I need to do to finalise it is those 2 4.5 defenders on the bench.
Well, let's see what the chat says. A 2.5, a 4, another 4, 3.5, 3.5. Far too punty. It's everything we tell ourselves not to do at the start of the season. Absolutely agree. The Tony pick is dodgy. I feel like that's the opposite of dodgy because of his ownership.
He's highly owned.
Yeah, it just takes
trying
all
to
the
not
risk
let
away.
the fact he's playing tonight come into my thinking because I'm going to be watching the game.
That has never, ever affected. I never look to see when games are on.
That's what you should do. I mean, but it's just, it's Friday night. It's football
Friday way. It's
Imagine
Saturday,
Tony
Sunday,
scores and I'm just sat there on the sofa crying.
Yeah. Well, is that honestly why? Are you scared? Because I didn't have Tony in for ages.
No, to be honest, I try not to look at stuff like that. Even with captains, I don't look at like who's the lunchtime kickoff and all that. I really do try and block that out.
I hardly ever look. Like, the only reason I know that Man United are playing at 12 is because I was listening to the Hangover podcast and they're all Man United fans and they were really excited for Saturday 12 o'clock, and that's the only one that I looked at.
Well, I guess that's different because that's their team, isn't it? They want to watch their football.
Of course, but that's what I'm saying. It for me, like, it's a little tidbit of I don't look so much that's the only game I know the exact time of. And it's because other people were excited about it, not me. Shall we move into my team then?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Image slideshow is away. Info capture is on. So this is just, I'm live. This isn't a picture. So there's scope to change this immediately.
Wow.
So yeah, it changed a lot since we spoke about it. First things to note is the bench, right? Like
I like the defenders. I think that's really solid. It was a bit like what I was looking at with my draft yesterday, where I had Dunk over Soufal. Obviously, we talked about Soufal a lot, and he's a great option.
Yeah, I watched the highlights of their preseason, and he was just so far up the pitch. And then I started listening to The Wire, and they were talking about it a lot and how Cresswell versus Soufal, and if they were the same price, I'm assuming that most people would go Cresswell, right? But because Soufal's so far up the pitch, he's basically their right winger when they're attacking. Bowen kind of either pulls back or he's up top right, kind of waiting at the byline. So the amount of early crosses and stuff that Soufal does is straight to Benrahma, straight to Antonio. I just really like the asset. So yeah, so he's in my team, and he's been one of the only. I think it's been like Salah, Bruno, Trent, Soufal, and then everyone else has came and went. So very interesting.
So with this team, my
Yeah.
first impression is there's only really, I think, two players worth talking about. I mean, obviously they're all worth talking about,
No,
but
I get you.
what I mean is
It's
Sufal
boring.
and Greenwood are the
Hmm.
picks that you have that I wouldn't say are like a firm template. If you
Yeah,
see what I mean,
of
as in the
course.
front three, I think that's a great front three. And if I was on three strikers, that would be the three I have.
Yeah, the
Obviously,
classic. I think
three
they're
of
the
your four
highest owned.
defenders and the goalie are what everyone has, and Salah and Bruno. So it is Greenwood and Sufal. They seem to be the two decisions you've made.
Yeah, it's the most template thing ever.
Rafinha and Ayling are brilliant because they're coming for later fixtures. Was that your thinking? When their fixtures turn, which
Yeah.
is pretty much next week.
The
When
reason
their
I
fixtures
had
turn.
Ben, and I had Ben Rama, and everyone knows I had Ben Rama for ages, and I was on him because from basically we had a West Ham fan in our podcast, so therefore I've been thinking about West Ham a lot. But I recognized that I had Sufal, Ben Rama, and Antonio, and the reason why I
Yeah,
had Ben Rama and I was saving 0.5 million in the bank was because I was going to upgrade to Rafinha eventually. Then obviously everyone has Rafinha, and their arguments are it's a don't bank transfers, blah 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 blah. And I was thinking that not I don't mind banking transfers, but I also have 3 West Ham, so it's an even bigger risk now because not only am I punting on West Ham being good, but there's a lot of eggs in the same basket. And on top of that, I'm going against the grain with Rafinha. So the punt was
yeah.
even worse for me because of
And then West
Sufal.
Ham will have Europe starting in a few weeks as well.
Exactly. So
So
that I
I
might
can
have to get
understand why
people
you
out.
don't want to go for three. And it's why I've got Antonio and Benrahma, so I haven't gone for
Sufal.
Sufal.
Yeah,
That's
perfect.
why I was
Makes
going
sense.
for Dunk. Um,
The problem that I have with this team, because Greenwood, as soon as I found out about Cavani, it was really difficult to not get him. I kind of put myself in the position of I'm going to go for Simicast so I don't have to think about Jota. But the problem with this team is that it's very like Rafinha. Would you play Rafinha over Simicast for game week 1 here? Because I've got Shaw. It was one of the reasons why I didn't really want Rafinha
you're going to
to
have
start
a
with.
problem here. So one good thing is obviously game week 3, Liverpool played Chelsea, and that might be Simicast's last game for Liverpool
Yeah,
if the news is correct. So you'll bring Rafinha in for his
yeah.
great stretch.
In game week 2, I'll probably do
I, I
this.
I almost think you've spread the money a little bit too much. As in, you've got Greenwood and Rafinha. I guess you're going to switch to a 3-4-3. So then, actually, it's not the case. So maybe ignore me there.
It'll be this after
I
game week
guess
1.
what I'm saying is though, if you downgraded Rafinha and then upgraded Greenwood, then you'd have a way you could get to Mahrez or Son. But obviously, I guess then you're booking in transfers, and from game week 3, your team's not going to look as good because your team is going to look good in a couple of weeks,
Yeah,
or it's going to look better. But I guess the downside is if you want to get to a Mahrez,
it's going to take
or
2 transfers. Yeah, I'm going to have to get rid of
yeah,
Ings.
I guess you could move Greenwood to Gundogan in game week 2 if you did decide you wanted some Man City coverage. But obviously, I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with Man City after.
Hey, I had
once we looked at my
Mahrez.
team.
I had Mahrez for a very long time. Like I'm right there with you. And it is obviously possible for me to do that for game week 2. I probably won't.
I've been here though because like I said, I had a team really similar to this, and you just end up in a never-ending cycle. You think, oh, I'll get in a Man City player, and then you'll look at it again and be like, oh, my bench is bad.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it's a solid team. I like the back four, I like the front three. I mean, Greenwood could be a good punt. I mean, I'm not huge on him myself.
It's just because there's
going
like
for it.
Rashford's not there, so Martial's you think would Cavani's not there, so Martial will have to play at the top. Maybe Greenwood plays striker, but he'll most likely play on the right hand side because Rashford's injured, so Sancho will most likely play on the left potentially. So because of that, like when was the last time you seen a Man United asset that is probably going to be starting is just 7.2% owned? Like that's crazy low. That's almost as big of a punt as Ben Rama.
If you think Man United are going to be amazing, I mean, I don't think Leeds is the easiest fixture. The Southampton and Wolves fixtures are probably all right, but they're away.
Yeah,
and don't forget fans are back. So, I mean, obviously you've put a lot of eggs in the Man United basket.
Yeah, but I think that's because of the Bruno thing.
Two of them anyway. So
I think my thinking with that was that like everyone has Bruno, so I would like Greenwood as a kind of link up for them so that I can like go ahead of the pack. But at the same time,
I mean, it's sort of like what I've done with City then.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm probably going to get rid of Bruno if Lukaku or Kane becomes amazing, or
But then you'll probably want to get rid of Greenwood once everyone's back.
But
I mean, I don't know when Rashford's back, to be honest. That's quite a bit more long term than.
But his price point's better enough. So for example, say Kane moves to City and he's going to play game week 2, right? I'm taking a hit. I'm gonna get rid of a striker. I'm gonna get rid of Bruno and bring him in for a hit, right? Totally justifiable hit. Which means I still have Man United attack. And then maybe 5-6 game weeks, we can assess whether Greenwood's still going to be playing, if he was worth it, if he's kept his place, whatever. And he probably won't. And it means that I can go to any number, Barnes, Chelsea assets.
Neither of us have got Barnes. We've gone for like double ups on teams. Like you've gone for the Man United double up in attack. I've gone for the Man City double up in attack.
Yeah.
But we are ignoring players like Barnes. I mean, he's probably the one that stands out the most.
Yeah.
There was a question in the chat. Where has it gone? It was from Ron Frosk. So, Dave, what's your reasoning to go Gilmore over Basuma at Brownhill? I mean, Dave is Scottish, so.
What do you think, buddy? What are you thinking?
I've gone for him as well. I didn't like Basuma because I don't want to block a Brighton spot.
You know what's hilarious? Okay, so he was the first person I put in my team, and I did it as a joke, and I screenshotted someone. It was obviously after the auto thing, so maybe he was the 16th person then, you could say. I did it as a joke, and I sent it. I mean, he hasn't left my draft. And then only maybe in the last how long? Like week, 2 weeks, have people been like, well, he's actually on set pieces. And like, well, you know, he might sit deep, but it's Norwich and he's probably going to be playing it. And his percentage own is slowly like went higher. Whereas it's always been like, I'm obviously not going to play this guy. He's going to be third on my bench possibly all season. And it was just a joke pick, but now it's becoming like a little bit to the point where people are asking me, what's your reasoning to go him over the other ones? It's like, it was never a choice for me. It was just like a funny thing, but now people need to justify that pick, which I think is quite hilarious.
Yeah. So anyway. I think the minutes are going to be the best, and you're not blocking like a good team like Brighton, where they've got consistently good fixtures.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about the complacency that I've seen in a lot of teams. And it was one of the things that I had a problem with in my team. So, but before we go into that, just give me a wee out of 5 for this team. Everyone in the chat, what are we thinking? So I'll show you again. Oh, I'll show you your own people. I can't actually see what the chat are saying.
It wasn't something like filthy.
No, it's just the live streaming thing for the YouTube channel. I just can't see what you guys are saying when I'm showing my team. But I'll show it again, and I want you to tell me out of 5 what do you think after speaking about this for a little while. And while you guys are writing your stuff, I don't know, because it was like last night was my Friday, because I'm not working today.
You got a 4,
and I had a really good night.
I can understand your WhatsApp messages.
Feeling it this morning. Yeah, no, you messaged me like, what are you talking about? And I woke up this morning and forgot that it was like the day, and it was really bliss last night not having to worry about it. So I'm thinking that means I'm probably locked. Like, I made this team. I was watching FPL General stream last night, and he had a very similar team, and I had started watching him just after I tinkered. So
okay, I was going to ask, did he have a similar team before or after you watched?
Yeah, no, I made the Greenwood thing. Funnily enough, I've been like watching everything. Who was it? It was FPL Teddy Bear that did the reveal with Fergie on the hub, and and he came across as so smart and really, really thought-provoking arguments for a lot of players, and he spoke about Greenwood and all the positives for him versus all the negatives, and the fact that he, you know, this gift of Simicast and everything, and it made me put Greenwood into my team, because obviously everyone's been thinking about him. But yeah, I would definitely go watch that video, because he makes a great argument. His argument was the same as I've said today, but he just does it in such a better way. Very
you can make arguments for a lot of players,
of course,
obviously until we see them play. Because I mean, look at Gundogan last season.
Yeah.
Look at Mahrez when he's been consistently playing.
Mate,
I mean, obviously I'm backing up the players that I picked over the ones that you've picked.
Yeah.
But there's really fine margins here. Like, and I think it's almost like what mood you're in when the deadline passes, what team you end up with.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair play. We got 4s, we got 4.5s, we got 4s. I mean, no 5s. Gunnarsson made it a 3. Oh, yeah, I need to tell people about this. So, if you, last season, I was like, I'm going to pick Martinez in my wildcard gaming 3 because he seems like he's going to be a belter of a keeper. And I'll put the other guy, the other Villa guy, into my team, right? Just because, you do that classic, like, keeper and then backup keeper.
What, are you talking about Steer?
Whoever it was last season, I can't even mind who
Yeah.
their guy was. Thinking to myself, game week 3, well, obviously Martinez is a belter, but I'm not going to want any of their players. And then, Watkin comes along, Grealish comes along. Even, who was it, Target was doing okay last season. Like, all of a sudden, everyone wanted 3 Aston Villa players, and I'm sitting with that keeper. Now, that can happen to anyone. That can happen to any team. If Brighton gets amazing form, everyone's got Sanchez and Steele, they can only get one person. What if Trossard scores 5 goals in 5 games? Like
Exactly.
you're screwed. So, in my opinion, always go for, if it's a 4.0, the chances of the team that you're picking doing well is much higher than the keeper that you're starting with getting injured. So it's always better to just pick a random 4.0 keeper that no one else owns, because everyone's going for Foster. But what if Gunnarsson starts playing? Not my pick. Okay, what if another 4.0 starts actually playing and then everyone transfers out Foster? You've just lost 0.1 million on a 4.0 goalkeeper. It's so not worth it.
Can't believe we're talking about backup goalkeepers.
Mate, someone messaged saying it's a 3, they're giving my team a 3 because I picked Gunnarsson. It's like, no, your team's a 3 because you don't have Gunnarsson.
It makes sense. I mean, it's kind of like what I was saying about Basuma as your 4.5. Like Brighton, they are a team potentially you might want to look at tripling up on.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've already got Sanchez and Webster.
Yeah, 100%.
They've got players like Gross. So they could sign a striker. You could double up on the defenders. So, yeah, that's why I don't like Basuma. But
fair play. Just give me a minute. I'm going to show... So we'll do some questions in the chat as well. So if you guys have any questions, we'll go back up and we'll talk about on. Solgana's got a question there. Tommy T asked a question. A few other people. So we'll go up and ask them. But I'm gonna show. While you guys ask your questions, we're gonna show you our form versus fixture team. If Rich, you want to explain what that is. Explain.
Oh, you showing it? You showing it now?
Yeah. Unless you want other things.
My mind's on FPL. Yeah, I'll explain it really quickly. So we're doing a form versus fixture series, and we couldn't decide upon a template team, so we just used Stefan's team. He made like a safe team on Monday, so we're just going to use that. And then Dave's going to be making transfers based on form, and I'm going to be making transfers based on fixtures. And there's all sorts of rules and stuff. So this was the template team that Stefan, who obviously finished 150th in the world last year, put together. But it was on Monday, so maybe his opinion has changed.
We're going to have to ask him before 6 o'clock. But yeah, this is the team we're going to be both starting.
He put this together as well before Simicast became an option. So that's probably why he's got Jota in as well.
He did send me one of them, but I'm happy to go with this because Simicast is going to be a dead player in our team. So yeah.
I think it looks nice. I mean, it looks template, which is what we wanted.
It's good for me. It's good for me for form. So yeah, I can only transfer in form players, and I have to transfer anyone who's rubbish out my team. Whereas Rich has to transfer out anyone who has rubbish fixtures, and he can only bring people in that have good fixtures. And we're going to be doing it all season on this YouTube channel. And we're going to be releasing a video, maybe weekly, maybe every 2 weeks. We'll need to find a sweet spot for it because there's
actual other stuff.
Yeah, because of course, and but it's going to be like I can't wait. I think everyone thinks you're going to win. But what if form wins? What if I'm transferring form players and then all of a sudden I like unlock the key to this gate, like only transferring form players?
I mean, I don't think people are against form. I mean, based on the price rises, look at what's going to happen this weekend. We're going to get some random goal scorer, like we're going to get Iosi Perez scoring a hat trick, and he's going to shoot up.
Yeah,
because he's in.
I think the manager A does a wee bit of form and a wee bit of fixtures. Mostly fixtures, but then when people start showing form, they bring them in and they kind of play around that, right? Manager 2 is only fixtures, all fixtures, that's it. I plan for fixtures. If the fixture goes bad, I look to shipping them out. Fixtures breed form, so therefore that's where I'm going. Totally fine. There is no third manager. No one goes, you know what, I'm only bringing players that look good. I'm not going to look at fixtures at all. That guy doesn't exist, right? But now he exists. He is me. He is me. I have to do this for an experiment. So I think you've missed a trick by saying I don't want to be fixtures. You're too competitive. You're never going to get this chance again unless you.
We will see. I mean, you've made the rules, so it's not actually me. If fixtures lose, I'm gonna blame the rules. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting experiment. But obviously, our priority has to be getting our teams right, because I'm really keen to avenge last season's rank.
Oh yeah, okay, cool. We'll look at your.
Have you got a rank you're aiming for?
My rank that I'm going to be aiming for is top 10k. It always is, but once I get to a certain point where, you know how in every season you'll kind of hit a brick wall of, right, it doesn't matter if I have a good week or not, I can't get past this certain threshold, whether that be 100k or 500k or for your case 2 million or whatever it was. Once I hit that brick wall, I usually reevaluate what my goal is. But
I feel like now, that was a last season thing, wasn't it? This brick wall. Because only a very small number of players were actually consistently returning. We didn't have these players like Sterling, Aubameyang. I mean, we had Vardy for little patches.
Yeah, that's true.
The template was just so strong. And I think that's why people got stuck. Because no matter what rank people were at, they got stuck. Whether you were up where you were or down where I was, it was like,
I didn't know
walking through sand. It was like I just could not move.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
Shall we do the questions now? There's a few.
We do the questions, yeah. I do like that team. I'm looking at it now.
I think it's good. I think we'll probably get to some questions. We'll talk about that. We'll move back to the team. So I'm just going to scroll up. A lot of people are saying Rafinha over Tsimikas to start the season, by the way.
In your team?
In my team, yeah. If I had Tsimikas, it would be to play in that fixture, not bench. We'd be benching Soufal in that scenario, which is crazy because then what's the point in having Soufal if you're going to bench him against Newcastle?
I guess you could argue Soufal's away from home. I mean, what it could be worth doing is looking at the bookies odds if you really can't decide. But obviously, St James's Park is quite a big ground, quite a raucous ground as well. So it might not be an easy fixture for West Ham.
It's true, but I mean, they're not like the.
But then Newcastle are crap. So,
but not only that, but like we're talking about three players. One's playing Newcastle, the other one's playing Norwich, and the third one's playing Man United. Yet everyone's like, start the Man United guy. I don't get it. Like Man United are good.
Start the Rafinha against Man United.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
We don't know because at the end of last season, Rafinha wasn't on all set pieces from memory. So there's a few question marks, even though he's underpriced. We don't fully know.
Sure. I'm not sure. But anyway, keep your questions coming. We've got Havertz or Grealish. You go for that one.
God. It depends on the rest of your team because, I mean, I think with Havertz, obviously with Lukaku signing, he might, and their main fixture is that Palace game. So if you get Havertz, it's basically a 1 week punt because I think Lukaku is going to make his numbers drop off slightly compared to how they were at the end of the last season, not over the entire season.
So does that mean you're only interested in Havertz if he's playing striker and the fact that they're buying Lukaku or have bought Lukaku?
Lukaku and the fixtures make Havertz a 1 week punt.
Do we know how long Ziyech is out? Ziyech?
I don't know.
He hurt his shoulder. I'll find out. But
you find out. But I mean, and with Grealish, I just prefer Mahrez and Gundogan. I know they're different prices because we don't know where Grealish is going to play.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially when it's Pep as well. Like we really don't know. I know Southgate didn't. I know you can't really compare Southgate and Pep, although I try. Southgate didn't like playing. He even came out and said he doesn't like playing Grealish. As a number 8, for example.
Yeah.
So I just wonder if Pep will agree with that, but then Pep seems to do what he wants as well.
CH has no return date.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough. So, I mean, what about Pulisic then? Because he's going to keep his place on the right.
CH won't be playing week 1. I think with Chelsea, I think it's an avoid. I know that fixture looks amazing.
Yeah.
But we don't 100% know how Palace will be either.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of their players just played 120 minutes. A lot of their players haven't had a lot of pre-season. Talking about Chelsea now.
I mean, all Chelsea players, it's definitely a wait and see. And then Grealish, unfortunately, is the only Man City asset that's around that price that we don't know if he's going to start game week 1. Whereas you've picked both of them that are probably going to start game week 1 and game week 2.
I think they're going to start. And another thing with this that I kind of like is obviously they play Norwich week 2. Now, obviously, I've heard a lot of theories that maybe Pep will start easing players back in because it's Norwich. So I could end up with both of them bench, but I'd like to think one of them's going to start, maybe both.
Who does Arsenal have game week 2? If that is the case, and you've got to play White.
Arsenal's fixtures do drop off, so Webster would then become the first sub. Webster's a brilliant first sub, but Webster, Veltman, Dunk, whoever, because they've got consistently pretty good fixtures. You know, they're kind of solid defensively. If you like expected goals and expected goals conceded and all that stuff.
On paper, they're amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. So I think that makes brilliant first subs. So if you want to take a few risks, you know, get the Brighton defenders in. That's my logic. That's my logic with it anyway. And I mean, the City players can then go.
Tommy T says fair enough, but wanting more than 3 Brighton players is never going to happen. That's true. It's because you can't have more than 3. So
because we'd have one. With a lot of us got Sanchez.
Yeah.
And then, like we just said, you're going to have probably a Brighton defender because they make pretty good first subs.
Yeah. But what if what if Connolly becomes like the man?
Oh God!
Don't you dare laugh, right? He's a little firecracker.
Let's not go that far.
Barnes or Rafinha and 0.5 in the bank. Barnes or Rafinha and 0.5 in the bank. I'd go for Barnes personally, because I love the idea of going for a punt and then downgrading to the player you actually want. With me, it was Ben Rama or Rafinha, and unfortunately Ben Rama is the punt, which means I would have to keep 0.5 million in the bank, and it's sort of like the opposite way. It doesn't work out as well, and sometimes you want to spend that 0.5 elsewhere.
Just and looking in that transfer, isn't it?
Yeah, whereas with Barnes, to go to Rafinha is like, Barnes is actually a good enough price that it won't be a worry for you. You know, you can't touch that money. It's too difficult for me not to touch that money. I was thinking, if Soufal doesn't pan out, I can go to Stones. And then I had that in my head for a day, and I was quite excited about it. And then I remembered that 0.5 is for Ben Rama to Rafinha, and I'm not allowed to spend it. Like, I forgot, and we haven't even started the season. So yeah, but I think Barnes. What about you?
Yeah, I do like that first fixture for Leicester, and that's why Barnes was quite tempting at one point. I mean, I know I mentioned him on the main pod, but Vardy, if you wanted a placeholder, because I don't think you're going to want Vardy for long, and he is overpriced. If you wanted that placeholder for Kane or Lukaku, and this is why I'm a bit annoyed the Kane deal is not just done. Because I really would like Vardy this week. I mean, I'm obviously not going to do it. I noticed on Mikhail Tokram's algorithm, he was 5th for best captain this week, Vardy. So
really?
The algorithm agrees. Yeah.
You were thinking about going for him before like,
it
and
was
keeping
more as a
Kane money in the
placeholder,
bank.
though.
Yeah.
It just would have fitted really nicely. I could have had Vardy at home to Wolves and then got on one of these premium strikers before the majority do.
What if Kane gets bought right now? Like, it comes out.
I don't think it's going to happen. And then you need time for him to.
So do you think but he might play game week 2. What I'm saying is get Vardy game week 1, and then you've got that. Would you do that?
It would have to be announced in the next
That's
hour.
what I'm saying. So if it's announced in an hour, would you do it? Would you do the Vardy tinker?
I'd be very tempted. I'd be very tempted. I'd probably go without Bruno, to be honest.
Come on, Kane. I want you to come now. Steel currently. I'm going to read some more chat. Steel currently at 2.4% ownership, so not too worried about that price. Yes, but it's not about the price. The ownership dropping of your second keeper. We're going to have to keep talking about this till everyone in the chat understands. It's not. It's what if you want Trossard and Veltman and Sanchez, and you're stuck with Steel in your team. There's nothing about like Steel might go down in price. The down in price thing was the Foster thing. He's at like 40% or something.
Plus, Steel is not the backup generally. It's all because of that injury.
Because the other guy's injured, right?
So he came from Ajax. Yeah,
he's going to be worthless after 3 game weeks anyway. It's the worst. Lads, once again,
I do like the comparison you made with last year's, with Villa, because a few people got stung with that as well. I know Josh, who obviously was on last year. He had that issue and could never get to Watkins, and that annoyed him.
Yeah, and it was because most of us had brought them in on wildcard, because you don't usually you don't change your second goalkeeper unless it's with a wildcard.
He wasn't even the backup. That was like the extra insult, and I think that could happen with Steel.
Yeah, I'm just never doing it ever again. Lads, once again, we're all relying on Twitter ownership and think that's not smart, like the last days past season with Mane. Don't build your team based on Twitter bias. I haven't actually been taking much on board from Twitter, and I have mostly been spending time with like live streams or podcasts or whatever, and hearing arguments, reading stuff. Twitter hasn't really swayed me on anything, because we were on Ben Rama pretty early, right? Or we were talking about Bowen and then Ben Rama.
I mean, yeah, we were talking about Ben Rama even before you on the pod at the end of last season. Well, I was talking about Ben Rama. So, yeah, I've not picked that up from Twitter. I mean, that did rekindle my affection.
Relight my fire. Okay, next one. Newcastle have that new assistant coach and improved at the end of last season. I remember listening about that. And that is on us talking about Soufal playing the first game, isn't it?
Yeah, and he was on the England staff as well, and obviously was only a penalty shootout away from winning the Euros there, weren't we? So,
right, hold on.
well, I say we. You probably didn't care about that.
No, I didn't care about that. No, not one bit. Billy Gilmore's in my team though. That's funny. So what you guys want to play? Want this to be my first team? That does look better.
Thing is though, mate, if you do that, I don't want to influence you too much. If you do that, which I can fully understand, then you might as well
take
bump
Soufal
down to like Veltman or White or something. You'd have to look at the rotations properly.
Yep.
And then you've got what? Then you got 500,000 in the bank.
And then I would need to do the Barnes thing, and then we right back to where I started with.
I was going to say you could either save it or you could do the Barnes thing.
Yeah.
But this is where it gets dangerous. You do all these little moves, and then suddenly half the teams change.
Well, this is what I was going to say about the complacency thing, right? So I have noticed where, for example, you put Ben Rama in your team a week and a half ago, right? 9 days, 10 days ago.
Yeah.
And that's your tinker, and you look at it and you go, oh, that's okay. I mean, it's only a little bit risk, so that's okay. And he's in your team, and then 2 days, 3 days pass, and you start another tinker, and you're okay. So this is my team. I'm going to start another tinker, and then you're like, ooh, you know what? Instead of Rafinha, I could go Barnes, or I could go Mahrez, and I'll downgrade Tony to a 4.5, right? And then you do a little bit of that, and you're like, oh, it's a bit more risk, but I think it'd be okay. I mean, Mahrez is really good. And you start justifying all these little risks that have happened, you
end up with loads of them.
But you end up with loads of them because, you know, you're already okay, and you get complacent with the fact that you've already taken a risk before you even started tinkering with the second set of tinkers, because Soufal's sitting there to start with, right?
Barnes
has more risk.
Barnes has more risk than Rafinha.
Oh, of course.
Because I think we're
100%.
pretty sure Barnes is going to play like 70 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, he's not fully fit, right?
They've got three strikers now. They've got obviously Vardy, Iheanacho, and the new guy.
They'll turn
so we
to
don't fully know what formation they're going to play.
Yeah.
So there's risk with Barnes, and that's why Rafinha is like a safe pick, because like you said, he's going to play 90 minutes most week. The only things we don't know is if he's going to be on set pieces or not, or some set pieces, but at least he's going to play.
Oh, I really don't want to get rid of Soufal. He's also only 0.5 million.
He's brilliant value, mate. You don't have to spend the money, because he does come in for Simicast quite nicely in game week 3, 4 onwards.
Yeah, I mean it totally works. Like this. See, if I was going to start this game week 1, then Soufal would stay on my bench for 2 weeks, and then he'd come in game week 3 and 4, and it would just turn into this would be the main thing, and then by game week, what is it, 6 that Leeds start playing very well. 5 Newcastle, West Ham, Watford,
even from next week, Leeds fixtures aren't bad. They got Everton at home.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to do. That's what I was going to do. I was going to do Rafinha. I think I prefer this, where I'm playing this most weeks, but then eventually it's
got good balance to this. I think it's one where, because don't forget, when the deadline goes this afternoon, you're then going to probably go in and set your bus team.
Yeah.
And I think with this, you'll look at it a bit more fondly if you've got options. I mean, it's only 500,000 we're talking about.
Yeah.
I guess it's just the benching dilemma, whether you play Rafinha or Soufal.
You know what?
I think I would play Soufal.
Yeah, me too. I think I would as well. See, the thing is, though, I've just realised that I'm going to have because Ayling's there so that I can use him in game week 5 onwards, right? Like for his juicy fixtures. But see, because Soufal's there, I'm not going to want to take Soufal off, in which case Ayling's just rotting on my bench.
This was the problem I had with when I was chucking Dunk in the team, because obviously it's the same price point, and I didn't want to bench Dunk, so then I started doing 4-4-2 teams.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Now I'm looking at it. Man United then Leeds away. So if you're playing Ayling or Soufal in game week 6, you probably play Ayling because they're home, and then Soufal for game week 7. But then, Soufal drops down 8, 9, 10, 11. But then again, I keep thinking, oh, well, if Soufal does badly, it's only 0.5 million upgrade to Stones. But if I get Stones, then Ayling's definitely not going to start on my team. So Ayling's actually worthless as well.
I mean, it's all right being worthless, because Simicast should become worthless as well. I mean, you could look at Dunk. instead of Soufal. If you want consistently good fixtures for an extended period of time, you can't go wrong with players like
Might
Dunkel,
change
Webster,
Ayling
or
to Ben
Veltman.
White.
I appreciate you've got Sanchez, but then most people have Sanchez. So having the double up just means your clean sheets, Brighton clean sheets, or potential Brighton clean sheets are going to be a bit better.
Yeah. I agree.
But I'm not averse to double and triple ups either. So
yeah, you would have Foden in your team if he was not injured.
I would.
You would. Let's have a look at the chat. Did you see anything you wanted to say?
I'm gonna have to go back to work in a minute.
Oh yeah, Neil from Ottawa came in, said, "Good luck this game week, gents. Enjoy the matches. Thank you very much, buddy."
Thank you.
No Auba or Laka playing tonight due to illness. Does that make Tony more appealing?
I don't know really. Apparently Aubameyang's been awful in pre-season. Absolutely horrific. So I wouldn't really worry about that. The thing is, I kind of like Tony tonight. And I'm going to make this relate to Reading in some way as well. Because I remember the first ever Premier League game I went to that was Reading was against Middlesbrough. And I think we were 2-0 down early on. And then we were scoring freely. I think Nicky Shorey made a darting run and we found a bit of belief.
Yeah.
And I think that can happen, especially with the crowd back as well. I know they're in this new stadium. I could really see, the Brentford fans getting behind the team and that they could score tonight. Like, I think you do get this little boost when promoted teams get promoted. I mean, obviously, not every single team, but Brentford haven't been in the Premier League for like, what was it, like 70 years? I've just completely made that number up, but it's a long time.
70 years. No, it was exactly 70 years.
It is a long time. So there's fans there. I think the fans are going to get behind the team. And I can see Brentford scoring.
You know what?
I really can, especially because it's when it's new to the fans.
Yeah.
You've got people coming out of lockdown. It might be their first game for a while, and they're in the Premier League.
Yeah,
they're going to be right behind them. So I can't even remember what the original question was now.
No, that's okay. It was all about.
Arsenal be worse.
Yeah, I think absolutely. Like if Laka's not playing, who are they playing up front, right?
Yeah, I mean what? But I mean, they weren't very good last year. I don't want to offend any Arsenal fans. I'm sure they know that. So
Wait, no one's more down on
numbers
Arsenal
at the end of the season, but they were playing. They're pretty good fixtures because I remember being tripled up on them. So that must have been the reason why I had 3 of them.
Yeah.
No amount. I'm trying
to
talk myself into Tony now. Now I've not got Ings.
Well, I think that's the thing, right? Like Tony was a pipe dream for me for a while because I didn't like anyone. Like people were saying, "Oh, you could downgrade to Pookie," but like. Bugger that. Like that's the exact. It's like into the frying pan or out of the frying pan into the fire, right?
Pre-season minutes, and he's not played much. Pookie's not played much in pre-season.
And also he's the exact same player. Like why would I do that? And the second that like Armstrong came in at 6, and he's actually going to be playing for a team that has been in the Premier League for a while, and now we've got I wasn't sure back then who Watford were going to play up front. But now we're pretty sure that they're going to be playing 4-4-2. So potentially that opens up 2 different slots for the striker. So all these players started emerging that you could potentially downgrade that I don't mind with Tony. So yeah, there we go. Oh, and there was a lot of talk about Abraham moving to Arsenal or something, which again is another decent option.
Your money is less spread than mine. So obviously we've both got Tony at the moment, but I've got like Mahrez, who's at a higher price point than a lot of your players, and I've got less money on the bench as well.
Yeah.
So I would say with the structure that I've got, and I'm not saying my team's better than yours, but it is. I could quickly move money into the strikers if needed because I've got more to downgrade from. I don't think it's going to be a massive issue. And obviously, we're just trying to predict what's happening. So what I say could be completely wrong.
No, you're totally right. It's one of the reasons why I loved Mahrez is because he's such a good little bank of cash.
Yes, and it was why I was considering going Son over Mahrez this morning when I was locked in with that team. Because, you're at that 10 million price already. So it's even more money tied up. And then obviously before that, I was looking at Mahrez plus $1 million in the bank, which having money in the bank gives even more flexibility than having a high price player.
2 points. Oblivious said, why not go from Ayling to a 4.0 and upgrade Kufal to Dean? I mean, I have thought of that. The problem is that's just that your bench is just totally buggered after it would be 3 rubbish bench players. But then he said if you're going to punt on Norwich, you might as well go Ida, as he's cheaper at 5.5. So you could even downgrade to him. So these players we didn't know about Tony.
I mean, Ida's interesting because he's been playing a lot more than Pookie. Like I mentioned about it's Romfrost's. I was going to say Romfrost's tool. Well, I guess it is Romfrost's spreadsheet. But I think either Pookie or Ida will play. I don't think they won't play both of them.
That's
together.
True. But if Pookie's not been playing a lot, then
play 2 up front. So.
What did we come to the conclusion, Webster or Veltman? You said Webster has better stats, but Veltman's playing in a more an area where he's probably more likely to score a goal.
Yeah, well, Veltman's might be playing at centre back. Obviously, I don't know if we've had all the press conferences from that yet. And obviously, Webster's a centre back as well.
Yeah.
So I think Webster's a bit more nailed for the long term. And I saw, just going through the Fantasy Football Hub stats, which obviously link in the description. Webster's stats are much better. I mean, obviously, Dunk is the king of that defence.
Yeah.
He's the king of the bonus points, king of shots for defenders. But yeah, I preferred Webster to Veltman going through the stats. And I think he's more nailed as well.
There you go.
I'd much rather have Dunk. I wish we had 100.5 million. But then I wouldn't
then you
want
would buy
Dunk.
Barnes, it would, or something. You'd spend it somewhere else. You'd make the same sacrifices. Here was a good one from Nuclear Atoms. Hello, by the way. Thank you for being here. When you have had a bad game week, how do you convince or remind yourself this game should be fun? Na 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 na.
I had a bad season and I'm still here.
Contractually.
There's still a couple of fun weeks or fun moments.
Foden, right?
You just got to look a lot harder for the fun. I still remember when Foden and Gundogan went off one week and got huge hauls. That was fun. I remember that.
Yeah.
In a season of badness, and obviously when Ben Rama finally got an assist, that was a highlight.
I was rooting for you, to be fair. See, when people take punts like that as captains, you can't not be like, I hope Ben Rama scores for you, even if you've got their opponent's defense in your team. We did a fun little thing called 8 Simple Rules. Shout out to all the managers who came. It was really lovely of them to come in and help us out on that series. First guy we recorded with was Mr. Tom, from who got the assist, and his rule that he brought to us, 8 Simple Rules, the guest rule number 8 was life is a roller coaster, just gotta ride it. And the basics of the rule was, mate, there's ups and downs in it. Life is ups and downs in FPL. If you can't handle FPL at its worst, then it might not be the game for you.
That Marilyn Monroe, you're quoting.
Yeah. I'm putting a bunch in together. It's a big cake of quoting. But yeah, that's my philosophy. Sometimes I'll be like, I can't even be bothered looking at Twitter. I'm so annoyed that I only got 46 points and everyone else that I can see is 60 points, 70 points, 80 points. I've never been like, hey, you should hashtag it with points so that you don't annoy people who didn't do very well. I'm not one of those people. I will just not go on Twitter. I'll be like, I'm annoyed. Yeah. It's obviously because everyone gets annoyed. You're passionate about this. We spend hours tinkering. We spend even longer streaming and doing all loads of stuff and editing videos and blah blah blah. I'm all in. I'm all in. But
it's fun. I can't wait. Can't wait for this to start. And I wish we could keep doing this stream a bit longer, but some of us have got to work, Dave.
Yeah, sorry. I've been chatting.
No, mate. I've enjoyed it. I think I'm set.
Yeah. We'll have one last.
I'm trying to be more open-minded this season and not just be like, that's it. So that's why I'm saying I'm not set. But we're running out of time.
Yeah. No. Running out of time. Are you going to be tinkering all during work?
I'll be working, but what I will do is I will check all the press conference news. And I've got a few ideas of structures in my mind now. So if I change anything, it's going to be pretty quick. I've already thought about most scenarios now.
Yeah, fair play. All right, on the screen is Rich's team. So if you want to copy him, now is the chance. And then this is my team. This is what we're probably going to be going for. We will tweet out any changes. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming to see us. It's been really, really lovely. I can't wait to get back to streaming just random streams like this. It's always so much fun.
This is why I wanted to do the YouTube channel, so it has been fun. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching and all the likes. If you can subscribe as well, that's awesome. But
yeah, it would be
don't
great.
Have to.
Again, 4U2742 is I got very confused in my hands there. That
code. Iceman rang me and was like, we need to go through the code. I'm going to keep regenerating it and we're going to get an easy one to remember. And I thought that was an easy one until I said it out loud. It's not easy, is it?
And there's a 7, so you can't do it with one hand. There you go.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. Next year we'll get a better code.
Yeah, think of the one-handers. And subscribe if you haven't. That'd be great. We're trying to get to 1,000. And I think we're like over 600 now. So that's pretty good for like a
Quite an
first
arbitrary
go.
number. I'm happy with 600. I think that's crazy.
I want
honest.
a million.
It's crazy.
I want
I
a
thought
million.
we'd have no one watching, and we got like over 30. So
subscribe. I want 1 million. I want to get Ben Foster. That's what I want to do. All right. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you after game week 1.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. Good luck for game week 1. Enjoy it. Try to.
Bye.
I forgot. Don't worry.
Up the pod.